to operate with this level of thought and transparency. It makes me proud. Thank you.
Yes, I'd like to thank Tadas for taking the time to post it. That is a valuable contribution to the community. And I hope whoever has him in their group will recognize that contribution. Mark.
Yeah, it seems like for a vote like this, it would be practical to get together offline, off of one of these meetings as a group of voters for something like this and have a meeting, if nothing else, to kick it off for basics of, what are we even wanting to really get, and also listen to each other as the top, say, 10 or 12 folks. It would seem that having a candid and open meeting as a way to get square on the ground rules and the basic objectives, that would bring it all together, probably, to include who showed up and who didn't, and that's fine too. Mark that and move on or something.
Yeah. Because there are other things you could do, 2/3 of those who show up after each consensus instead of 2/3 of the top. And then those who don't show up. If you're on the council and you don't show up, you don't get paid that week. That will create real incentive to show up when you're in the top 12. There's lots of things we could consider. And I also think that the council should meet, or should at least talk and be engaged with the community on a regular basis. So, yeah.
All right. Any additional comments on this subject?
No.
Okay. One more time, just in case anyone has showed up since I mentioned this, just want to throw out a PSA. If you're new, just let me know privately here in the chat so I can be working with you for the next few minutes to make sure you're ready to go participating today.
Jorge. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, hello. Yeah, I posted a post regarding this subject. I have mentioned the convenience of adding the attendance level to this voting power. So I created a variable, a voting power variable, which is the product of the average you guys are proposing and the total number of meetings attended. And I didn't like it because then it became to form a, well, I didn't like it, but then I choose to propose the following voting power variable: the average that you guys are proposing times the natural logarithm of the total of number of meetings attended. So that flattens the power of the total number of meetings attended, but it still included. And so I think the total voting power doesn't have to be proportional to any single parameter. It could be a mathematical combination of several of them, being these two, the first one I proposed. So I wanted you guys to take that into consideration.
I read your contribution there. Thank you for your thoughts, Jorge. My primary thoughts are that that's a number that's always increasing, and over enough time, everyone's voting power is going to be approximately equal with that particular second variable. So I would suggest reformulating it to factor in that those who attended meetings recently have more say with, or more in touch with what the community needs now, not someone who attended the first 1,000 meetings and then hasn't been out of touch for 10 years. So there's definitely a decay that needs to be placed on how recently you've attended. And I think that that's what the weighted average function does. And so you could say that you get, you take the weighted average of attendance and then multiply that by the weighted rated level garnered, and that would be a way of normalizing it between the two. So good thoughts all around. James posted a YouTube video where he discussed some of the concerns around double dipping for people who are compensated outside of the community. In this case, thinking about the ƒractally team, but there are other people that are compensated outside the community as well. And my primary point, I'll just say here, is that the ƒractally team is not compensated outside the community. Every single person on the ƒractally team is compensated by another member in the community. You can draw a circle around it and see that no resources from outside the community are going to pay the ƒractally team. So that is just something to think about there. But I think James made some other very good points. James, if you'd like to summarize it, I don't want to take the words out of your mouth or misrepresent.
I think I would just direct people can watch the video after the meeting if they want to hear my thoughts on it.
Okay.
But I guess one quick comment in response to what you just said, Dan. External compensation, at least in the context of the video I made, was referring to like a salary that's not paid in respect. So external would be like a payment that's not in the community currency, like the respect token or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think one way of viewing this is there's another aspect to this, that there are many dimensions to compensation: respect, currency, and respect among people, and reputation, and experience, and enjoyment. And there's 1,000 different dimensions to which people are compensated for what they do. You can't easily separate or measure. And I think James made a really good point in that, about it doesn't scale up. If you've got thousands of people on a fractal, it's not possible to track all the ways people might be getting compensated in other means. All that really matters is, do you value what they did for the community, what they got done? And if so, do they deserve positive reputation in our community for what they did? Do we want to encourage them to do more of what they are doing? And there's a frame of mind that says, well, if someone's going to do it anyway, then you shouldn't really tip them. You shouldn't really acknowledge them. They're doing it for their own reasons. That an analogy there is, you go to a restaurant, someone's bringing you, serving you your food. Do you tip them or not? They're going to do the job anyway. They're already being paid. How much do you tip them? There might be other situations where in life where you'll find that just because people are doing it anyway doesn't mean it's not worth acknowledging them. But I'll throw it to Eric.
I will definitely watch the video. I have not, but I'm actually quite interested in that idea where core team members, for example, Anna comes to mind. She's on the listed as a team member. Those that choose not to engage with the ƒractally process, how do you compensate those people?
Right now, those people that are contributing, but not, and there's a number of them. There's Todd and Stephen and John. He's in Australia, so these times don't work for him to meet. And a few other team members that are doing real work full-time behind the scenes, directly contributing to this community, but they're not showing up and they're not being represented. And the way that they get respect is indirectly. When the ƒractally team members earn respect for what they're doing, and the company is getting some of that respect, it flows back to them. When the company is profitable, they're profitable. So, And so they're being compensated out of the investors that are supporting the company. And so that investment into the company that's enabling those people to get paid is a contribution to the community, just as surely as someone who, say, bought advertising for the community or spent their money to travel or, you know, time editing YouTube or paid somebody to translate the book or whatever the case may be. That is a contribution. So I think an easier way to look at this is like a country, and you got imports and exports. We can do all kinds of trading within the community, and all that trading is a contribution to the community. But somebody who's I probably shouldn't be thinking this on the fly, but somebody being paid from somebody outside the community, right? So they're kind of importing money into the community, right? All you people have day jobs, right? You're being paid by your employers. You're earning money to support yourself. That's kind of importing into the community, and then it gets redistributed from there. I would need to work on that analogy a little bit more, but I think there's something to be said as what's internal trade among the community. In that case, it's not an outside source of funding. The respect should go to somebody in the community who's making that happen, right? You might be paid, like let's say Matt hires someone to work for the community. Matt should be the one who's getting the respect, and because he hired someone to do something. And if that person he hired shows up, well, then they can get the respect and give it to Matt, or whatever the arrangement it might be between them with respect to that. But yeah, that's just some thoughts there. Mark.
Real quick, I just wanted to remind that the larger interest here is the ability to have real dialogue, the ability to have real consensus or voting, the ability to track it across time and change that flight engine mid-flight, which I think we've kind of proven out already. So when we're working on these level of details, like Greg said 20 minutes ago, it's really great we have a forum to be able to contain all of this. So as scrappy as it may look, it's where it counts, it's very precise. So we'll look forward to incrementing the design according to the very basics of the structure we've already got in place. Really happy to be able to say that with confidence.
And that was the heart of my book. You need to have a very, very simple process by which the people can measure consensus and agree to do something and then act in alignment with it. And the fundamental process there is breaking into groups, reaching consensus, breaking into groups, reaching consensus, and bubbling ideas up and getting 2/3, combined with the voluntary nature of it. That is the core, that is the seed. Everything else is subject to change as necessary according to the consensus of the people about how things should be valued. And I think everyone here has got a slightly different view on some of these things, and it will show up in the weekly meetings. One thing that I noticed this past week, and it's going to be relevant now that we've got 2 rounds, is when you send somebody to the second round, you're not just judging their contributions, you're judging how they're going to judge other people's contributions, because they're going to have a large say in what things are valued in the next round. So in round 1, everyone gets respect because you're contributing your judgment. People's individual judgment is a very valuable contribution. And we let that get out of line, right? Then the values of the community can start to shift, and that will in turn change what gets respected. and things can get out of line. But if we reinforce things that, even if somebody's making a really big contribution that you value their contribution, but they're valuing a whole bunch of things that you think are out of alignment with where the community is going, then they're going to do more harm to the extent that they're the ones that are participating in value judgments in round 2. Because that's where the stakes get higher there. There's still consensus in round 2 and so forth, but it's a hybrid, and each of us has to contribute to that. And I don't know that there's a way around it. I just know that was very evident where there's potential conflict there, and we need to, I guess, reach agreement on those type of things.
All right, I see that hand clap there. Very nice. Any other questions or comments? We've got about 15 minutes before we go into the breakout rooms. I think we have maybe time for one more thing before I just do a little review of the process for the new people here today.
How many new people do we have today?
Yeah, good question. If you're new and you want to introduce yourself, this could be a good moment. We'd love to hear from you. Who invited you? How did you end up here? And what are you looking forward to most?
Felix, you have a question?
Yeah, not so much a question, more of a comment, kind of about the double dipping part. I may make a video about this as well, but I don't know. I kind of want to share my perspective on that. I just think right now, as we're a smaller community, I do agree that, as we grow and the fractal is larger, this may not be as much of an issue. But as we're a smaller community and we're having higher contributions, especially in the second round, I do think that compensation towards contributions do need to be considered, because it is easier to bring heavier contributions if you're getting paid to do it. And so that's where I think the double dipping is happening. So yeah, again, I don't want to, I guess, probably go too deep into that right now, but those are just some comments I wanted to add to share that the flip side of that, the perspective that was originally shared. So thank you.
All right, thanks, Felix. We'll go to Pascal, and then we got Mike and Matt.
Okay, good. Hi, everybody. I just want to mention that there's something that we neglect a lot in our community, is the work that the teams are doing in the back. I think as of today, we have like 4 or 5 teams, which is formed in the Genesis. And then those teams are doing great work in what they are doing. And this has been reinforced again on being a member of a team. It put us in a situation where we are fully engaged with what we love. So in a general meeting like this, we may not have our full capacity, but in our meetings, that's where we do a lot of jobs. So this is a valuable thing that I see in the community, and then we forgot a little bit in this general meeting. So thanks everyone.
All right, thank you. Mike.
Good morning, everybody. One thing, I actually intended to write a proposal about this, but for now, there are people who haven't signed the agreement who have continued to participate. The rule is you're not earning respect if you haven't signed the agreement. So if you haven't signed the user agreement, please sign the user agreement. If you're in a room and you don't know someone, it's not someone you've seen in many, many meetings, assume they're a no signer. Ask people. Let's find these people and make sure they're getting respect. It's part of the onboarding process. We want to make sure people have a good experience and get credit for being here. Let's make sure everyone in our rooms has signed the agreement. And if they haven't, just get it done right there. Gregory, I'm pretty sure has or is about to, or Joshua is going to share a report. So you have a list of people who haven't signed the report. Check the people in your room. let's get this integrity in this week.
Thank you, Mike. Also keep in mind, if you rank people higher who haven't signed the agreement, the people below them are also being hurt because they lost out on opportunity. So anyone who hasn't signed an agreement needs to be at the bottom of your rankings in your groups. And it's up to each of us to recognize that. Matt.
Thank you for that, Dan and Mike. So two things. Number one, I want to underscore Mike's point. Please focus on the new person. We have a lot of new people here today. We're stronger when we help them onboard and successfully onboard. So make sure, I don't want to see them lose respect. So help them sign that fractal contributor agreement. It may have been months since you signed it and you may not remember where the link is. So in the few minutes before we go to our breakout rooms, get that ready and let's help them on board. We're going to be stronger the stronger they are. Second point is I wanted to give a perspective on external compensation. I'm externally compensated. I work for an employer. I'm handsomely rewarded for what I do for them. And yet I choose to devote almost all of my spare time to what we're doing here. There's no amount of money. I've turned down promotions with my employer because I want to spend time on what we're doing. I can't imagine anything more important in my life than making sure we're successful with what we're doing here. So, you know, there's always economic incentives and pressures and tensions, but I've chosen to sort of plant my flag and make my stand to try to make this effort successful. So just another perspective on external compensation.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, I'd like to recognize that there's a point in James's video that I also think is legitimate. Different people are making different sized sacrifices. Some people are giving this their all, and some people are more blessed and are given a lower percentage, taking a lower risk. And those are factors that can be considered as we're applying subjective judgments, is not just what's the absolute value of each person's contribution, but it needs to be balanced with the tendency to value effort instead of results. There's lots of people that can spend all day pouring everything they have into digging holes and filling them back in. And they can say, I deserve to be paid because I worked harder and I gave it everything I've got. But if you don't bear fruit with all your labors, did the community benefit? Do you deserve respect for your work or for your results? And so, if two people are both given everything, that I think you'll see that results will scale. But let's not lose sight of the fact that we're not here to give everyone participation trophies. We're here to reward those who actually contribute. All six.
Hey, I just want to say hello. I'm new here. Big fan, Daniel. And yeah, I found your channel because of Maxim here. Just watched his video last night, and just resonated hard with me. Like, I don't know, I got into Bitcoin back in 2010, left 2016, and then came back when I saw Pulse X. But I don't know, your project's really resonated because that's the thing. I don't know, we went through the battles in the old days, and I know a lot of us jumped ship and kind of missed the boat. So I don't know, that's the thing. I don't know, I like to see crypto being put back on the right track where it's, community-based driven and stuff. And I don't know, really, community to see what you guys do. Just want to say thank you.
Welcome. Glad you're here and glad you spoke up. Mike.
Just wanted to point out before the chat moved on too far, all the links we're talking about, the are in the chat, in the Zoom chat. You've got the post to vote on today to put your consensus report in. I mean, you've got the agreement to sign for the people who haven't signed it yet. That's there. And then Gregory's provided a screenshot of the list of people who haven't signed the agreement. All of that is in the chat. You might have to scroll up almost a page at this point, but please grab those before they scroll all the way out into oblivion. That's it.
All right.
Okay, well, with the few remaining minutes that we have, I'm just going to quickly review the important thing that we're going to be doing here in our breakout room. So this is our meeting agenda. Shout out to Gregory for the nice formatting here. And if you the link for this is also in there, and I can drop it again. And usually every week we provide it. There's other places you can find it, but if you just kind of scroll down to round one break, kind of get the meat of what you need to know. When we get into our breakout rooms, you have about 3, maybe 4 minutes. It depends on who's running the countdown clock. That's the average length, but basically you want to briefly introduce yourself, especially if you're new, and then you're going to answer the following questions. And the first one is really the most important. So what have you done recently to contribute to building the technology, raising awareness, and or growing adoption of fractal governance as outlined in Fractally's white paper? So like I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, that's our mission here for the Genesis Fractal. And this probably needs to be adjusted a little bit. It may need to be simplified into something like, what have you done to contribute to the members and or the mission of the Genesis Fractal? Because what we've been discussing lately is, have you done anything that provides value to the members of this community? And that's something that we culturally want to put more emphasis on and begin respecting. And have you invited anyone to participate, and did they accept? So Maxim, for example, has invited several people recently. We'll see how many are able to make it today. This is maybe one of the most valuable contributions at this time when we're looking to grow and engage, and we're pre-product and all of these other things. The tokens aren't liquid yet. And then if you want to mention, and if it's relevant to people, how did you, what level did you achieve last week or in the last meeting that you attended? Because one of the things we're taking into compensation is, well, because not every week's fair, for your contributions, have you really got enough respect recently for those? There may be a week where you just got in there with like a bunch of heavy hitters, and there was just no chance of getting enough respect that particular week. So you can continue to mention contributions until you feel like, within reason, that you've got enough respect compensation for that. And the process that we're going to use in this first round is we want to determine who's going to advance to round 2. So there's various ways you can do this. You can just go through the normal process and go decide what are the largest contributions, what is the largest contribution, and that will be the highest level that week. This is how we used to do it before the addendum, and then go to the next highest contribution until you get to the contribution that this particular week will get the least amount of respect allocated. And we use levels to signify this. And because we're doing 2 rounds now, only the top 3 contributors will be the ones who go on to the next round. And we would like you to put them in alphabetical order if possible. It's not the end of the world if you can't, but it just makes it a little more difficult. And then the other 3 are the ones, it depends on how big your group is. It might just be 2 if it's just 5 people. But these 2 or 3 people are the ones who will act. This is the tokens they'll get that week, and they won't be moving on to round 2. And so another way you can do it is you can just decide, you can raise hands and say who actually has the time to go on to the next round, who wants to go on. And if there's only 3 people who are actually going to go on to round 2, then maybe it's not how you have to do it, but maybe that makes the decision easy. And then you just order the contributions of the other 3 people. So there's different ways you can do it. We've done this for a few weeks now, so I think your group will help you along the way, unless you just happen to be in a group with a bunch of new people, which did happen last week. And then this breakout room will last 45 minutes. So you want to get your contributions out in the first 20 to 25 minutes, and then spend the rest of the time reaching consensus. And again, if you're new, just let the people in your group know, and they'll assist you with the process. And after that, we'll have a 15-minute intermission that's when you need to make sure you post your stuff, because we need to filter out who's going on to round 2 and who's not. And then those who are moving on to round 2 will participate in another breakout room where we go through a similar process, except there are higher levels of respect that are allocated in this second round. And then we'll have a 15-minute closing Q&A. And so that's pretty much how the rest of the meeting is going to flow today. Any other comments from anyone else?
Please don't forget to update your Zoom names with your Hive ID. Thank you.
All right. Well, I think we'll just go ahead and get started. I'm going to create the breakout room. You're going to automatically be sent to your room. A timer is going to begin for 45 minutes. When the room ends, there's going to be a 60-second delay. So I hope you guys have a really good time and enjoy getting to know other members if you haven't had a chance yet. And just one more reminder to prioritize the new people. So we'll see you guys in about 45 minutes. Have a great time.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Eric.
Hey, Dan. Hey, Mark. Yeah, we can't
Sorry.
see you. You're like completely in the
Yeah.
dark, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm at somebody's party and I'm outside in the dark and I don't have any lights around, so I don't know if
I can vouch that it's him.
I don't know if I can
How
find
is
some
it?
way.
Thanks. I don't know if you met before, Mark, but it's nice to meet you, and it'll be nice to see you once we get light sometime. I see a little bit of I see a little bit of you, but yeah, thanks for joining us from your party.
Absolutely.
Hope the weather in Tbilisi is nice.
It's very hot,
Oh.
but normally it's nice. It's just hot. So Mark is helping. Well, I invited Mark, and Mark showed up, and then I roped him into helping me with the pizza fractal that we were gonna. So anyways, Mark. But Dan, good to see you. Haven't seen you around in a while. I know you've been busy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see you, Eric, and yeah, it's been busy, but it's great to see you as always. And yeah, thanks for bringing in Mark and helping with Mark and the pizza project. I'm excited to hear the progress. And then also Val, nice to meet you too. I don't think we've ever had a room together, but I've listened to many of your meetings before. So thanks for all the great work so much.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to be in the same group with you guys. All right, so let's get.
Jorge, can you hear us? Can we hear you?
Hey,
Yeah, I
Jorge.
can hear you guys. What's up?
Good to see you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Jorge.
Who wants
All
to go
right.
first?
Shall we? Yeah, good question. Would anyone like to go first? I'm happy to, if not, but anybody feel free.
I'm happy. You go for it.
Okay, cool. That sounds good. I'll just start a quick timer and I'll go try to keep less than 4 minutes. And oh, by the way, too, I'm recording too, and I'm planning to share it on social media. I forgot to mention that, but I'm always recording and then eventually posting them on the Eden Creators YouTube channel. Okay, cool. So this is a presentation about what I've been doing to help Fractally and help fractal governance over the past week and mostly over the past week. One thing that I'm really excited about, that I participated in 2 meetings this week. The first 2 was meetings that Joshua Seymour is hosting. I encourage everybody to check these out. He made a blog post. He's hosting 5 of these for unpacking more equal animals, studying the Fractally white paper, growing awareness and adoption, and building the next generation of DAOs and establishing your fractal DAO. I participated in the 2 ones. It's just me, Joshua, and Marco so far, but he's planning to promote it more. But these are gonna be happening every week, so that's really cool. had some good discussions. This week I hosted the Eden Fractal meeting. There was like 15 people there, 15 people, and we had a lot of great discussions talking about the interim consensus process, quite a lot, and doing a lot of study and so forth. I also participated in the Alien Worlds Fractal and shared presentation like this, talking about Ƒractally and spreading the word about fractal governance and Eden Fractal. I managed the Eden Fractal Twitter account, so I put out tweets this week for the distributions of Eden and EOS, and then also some artwork along with the new NFT and new proposal and Discord and so forth like that to help promote it. And then I shared it in a bunch of different Eden and EOS related channels to help spread the word about fractal governance in the EOS community. And then I also, there's kind of a backup Telegram channel that people started joining. So I just put together a brief introductory message where people can learn more and so forth. Also, Dwayne posted all the Alien Worlds Fractal meeting on there, and sorry, that kind of duplicate. I messed up my slides there, but yeah, this week I also made some changes to EdenCreators.com, specifically the garden, which is where I host a lot of notes about fractals and growing fractal. So it's still quite early in development, but you can explore there to see lots of different pages. I kind of just made some touch-ups specifically with the intro to the garden to explain what this page is and so forth, but I won't go too into detail here because it's still work in progress. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I made a proposal for the Eden Fractal to adopt an interim consensus process, and that has sparked quite a lot of discussion that's been going along with the new proposal that Dan made. So I've been studying that new proposal and then also communicating in the Eden Fractal chat to answer questions or share some thoughts, and I've also been reading everybody's work about it too. So for example, Tadas made that proposal that Dan and everybody was talking about before, and then also Jorge made a post here too. So I've been reading along and following and writing a lot of notes and helping to share opinion. I host the Hot Sauce, and then this week I spoke about Eden Fractal, and I spoke about Ƒractally, and I spoke about BBS, which is a tool that I'm thinking we can maybe integrate the social media aspect of Ƒractally into, that's currently working on EOS. It's an operational social media tool that's like Reddit. So I've been keeping some notes about this for the past couple of weeks and just doing some research and then referring to the white paper to learn how to integrate it in the best way possible. And then, yeah, I covered that in the story on the Hot Sauce in the weekly report this week. So I'll be sharing more details about that soon. But I think it could be a great way to maybe bootstrap some of the development of social media with already existing tools. So I'm sharing more details of that soon. I also participate in the chief delegate call. I'm a chief delegate in Eden, and I always help promote Ƒractally on these calls and fractal governance on these calls, and working on a proposal for Eden on EOS to make it kind of more like Ƒractally in many different ways. So there's lots of proposals about why we should decentralize Eden. I was reading Mike Manfredi's article, The Evolution of Fractal Governance, quite a lot, and referring to it to talk about how we can decentralize it further with the wisdom of Ƒractally and so forth, and make it a better DAO and so forth. But lots of different things there. I'll talk about natural giving and promises and gifts, which is an important principle in more equal animals and nonviolent communication. And yeah, I'm planning on reading Mike's other articles too. I'll wrap it up in about 30 seconds here. And then, yeah, I've also been doing a lot of research into DAO tools on Ethereum that I think could be helpful for fractals, or similar tools like D-Work that Joshua and Gregory are using quite a bit. I've been learning about these tools a lot and learning about them. And I've also been just studying the math and the rationale and so forth, and kind of talking with Eden Fractal team members about using Eden Fractal Respect to form mutual respect with the Genesis Fractal. So there's that. I also just retweeted some tweets, like I did an interview a couple weeks ago with Tadas and Patrick, and I participate in the Helios Rising Twitter Spaces every week and talk about Ƒractally and Eden Fractal quite a bit. And I talked quite a bit about mutually this article from James Smart at that one. And then I also watched and interacted with new videos from Maxim and Felix's videos. I watched them all, and then James's videos. And once again, I recommend these meetings. But that's it. Thank you. I'd be happy to answer questions or and so forth, or discuss anything. I hope that you enjoyed. And would anybody like to go next? Or if not, then I suppose maybe I can nominate maybe Val.
Yeah, please nominate. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Looks like it sounds like you work full time on Eden on EOS and contributing to with Genesis Fractal, right?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. Yeah. So I'm also working for full time. Member of Team Ƒractally. And I am full-time employee on Ƒractally Inc. And my job is to build user interfaces. And my biggest contribution this week was just working on Block Explorer for a new blockchain. So you're probably aware there is a lot of work going on here in ƒractally on a new blockchain. It's going to bring a new architecture. So the front end is going to follow some certain rules, and as front end developers took a while to get up to speed with our backend engineers to catch up, learn how things on the blockchain side of things work. It took us maybe several weeks to just get everything right. And now we are getting up to speed. And this week I was able to move a lot with Block Explorer. So I've implementing it in Svelte. If you are familiar, this is a JavaScript framework. And I'm using Svelte Kit. It's kind of front-end backend framework as well. It can render site on the server, but we didn't need this functionality, so I had to work to just adjust this framework to our needs. And now everything works fine with blockchain. And in Svelte, I was able to implement a data layer. Actually, I've took the data layer my colleagues used for React, and I simplified it because Svelte is much more simple than React. And on top of this data layer, I've built a couple of GraphQL queries to create blockchain blocks, new blocks. Also, when user clicks on a block row, it can dive a little bit deeper and see what are the transactions in this block, and what in transaction, each transaction actually consists of several actions. So I'm able to show transactions, actions. And our designers did some great, his name is Thomas. If you would meet him in the next round, I would highly appreciate to vote for his contribution, because he is working on design side things, and design for this new blockchain UI comes up really beautiful. So I've implemented a lot of his designs in Blockchain Explorer. Another much smaller contribution that doesn't include my job duties was I've been talking with a couple of, actually several of people in my Telegram group. It's a ƒractally Russian Telegram group. There are around 15 people there in this group, and we were discussing how we would be launching ƒractally Russian team. Actually, it's going to be a separate Fractal, because we can most of them cannot participate in these meetings due to some language barriers. So we are going to form a separate group and probably have some representatives for Russian Fractal and this Fractal. So because our goals aligns very well, we are working on the same thing, but just in different languages. And that's all from me for this week. A lot I got got to all this. And next on my screen is Jorge. So Jorge, please share your contributions.
Thank you all. Thank you, Bob. All right, here's my screen, right? Everybody's seeing? Okay, this week if you guys don't know, I created a Spanish-speaking Fractal, as you guys can see here, Fractal de habla hispana. We are targeting a total population of about 22 countries and 500 million people. We had our third meeting this week with 6 attendants, which happened to bring pretty nice contributions. I'll show you one of them. This is a audio version of the white paper from the ƒractally white paper. Let's see if I can play one.
I can hear, but it sounds very faint.
Can you guys hear?
Slightly.
Okay, I can increase the volume, but the point is that we have turned the white paper into several dozens of MP3 files, which we are about to, well, we can do whatever we want with them. This was done by one of the Spanish-speaking Fractal members who don't come here. So this is a contribution to this ecosystem that doesn't create any additional inflation. It's pretty much a free contribution for this ecosystem. That's why I bring it here. I also participated in the Eden Fractal meeting. You can see the video here and my face here, in which we, as Dan just said, discussed the possibility of creating liquidity pools between this Fractal's respect and the respect from there. And we also been working on the interim consensus protocol that Dan just posted, well, that Dan just mentioned at the beginning of this meeting. I created this post that also Dan Sinjoy just mentioned. In it, I propose this decision power variable for who can make proposals and vote, which is the product of the average you guys have always been considering, the average level from last N meetings, times the natural logarithm of the number of meetings attended. This formula tends to converge to what you guys have posed, but has the advantage of protecting the community from newcomers that initially make big contributions, but then try to take over the network. I also, yeah, I'll say that pretty much, those are pretty much my contributions. So I'll stop sharing, and next to my screen is Eric Binder.
Hello, everyone. Again, it's great to hear all the things that people are doing. Val, it's interesting to hear your stuff. It's like a glimpse into what's coming. The biggest contribution that I've made this last week is working with Mark, actually, who's on the same call as us, and Irakli, who's our project manager. And the day after tomorrow, so on Monday, which we're already on Saturday evening here, we are going to have a company picnic. So we're closing all the 4 stores, and we're estimating about 70-75 people will be there from our team. And I have, we have been trying to game theory this. I'm going to use Uno cards to sort people. So into groups of 6, kind of like on in the book, right? So Dan mentions that in the book, and just keep it really simple. These people are working in the business. They're pizza makers, they're cashiers, they're drivers, they're managers, they're visors. But I want to find a way to implement what I've been learning over the past couple, maybe years even. Actually, when Dan left Block 1, sort of he jumped into this whole idea of governance, which that was my first kind of taste into something that I had never really thought too deeply about. But it was, as I started thinking about it, it's actually the most difficult problem that we've faced in starting a company that's not really about making money. It's about doing something good for the city and something that's good, makes life better. So it does make money, and that's a result of doing the other things well. But when I think about the long-term governance, that was not something that we had gotten really good advice. It was always kind of a legacy oriented. So I'm quite interested in seeing how this will play out. We're hoping to do some documentation of that. So the guy that's local, he will be running this in Georgian, and he's got the basic concepts, but some of the deeper kind of thoughts that we can work out in English, and I'm not sure that I will be able to transform this team into deeply passionate ƒractally members. But the idea is that, as simple as it is, to find a way to build consensus around the core values that we hold. And so I guess this will be a test of non-tech people without crypto backgrounds, who deeply understand each other's kind of roles. So it's quite more level playing field, let's say. And so we're gonna game theory that again tomorrow before Monday. So that's my contribution. And Mark, it's your turn. It's nice to see that you found a light.
Yeah, I went and stole my wife's cell phone. So now I have a flashlight to shine in my eyes. I'm interrogating myself. But yeah, so my contribution this week is pretty much like Eric said. We've been kind of brainstorming together. I guess I should go back a little bit further. Back in July, I was having a conversation with Eric, and we were talking about different stuff, and kind of got onto the topic of real world applications for blockchain technology. And he's like, well, if you're interested, I know these guys, they have this cool project, you should check it out. Like, read More Equal Animals, read this white paper and check it out. If you're interested, like, sign up. And so I read some stuff, I got interested, and I signed up and joined, and I kept meeting very interesting people, and I liked the culture and the mindset and the goals that you guys have here. And so then Eric saw that I was excited about it, and he's like, well, I have this idea. If you've got some spare time, would you help me brainstorm it? So yeah, for the past several weeks, we've been kind of going over different ideas, trying to figure out how we can implement it. And so we settled on this kind of, they already had a company picnic coming up, so we can use this as like the first introduction to kind of get people used to the idea of, first of all, advocating for their contribution or what they've done, or and also rating each other, right? That's not always an easy thing to do. So, or not each other, but their contributions, like try to get people to understand what we're going for. And then also being able to keep the records on what we're doing, and so that we can see over time. I mean, that's the point, is to see over time, what different people are doing. And yeah, so that's kind of what we've been working on. And on Monday, we'll see if it's got legs or not. And then from there, we can go into trying to get them to join us in some kind of video conference setup or something, and go from there. But yeah, we're excited to see how it works. And yeah, for me, the most interesting part Eric touched on already is, like, here in ƒractally, and most of the fractals I've seen being formed, it's kind of a self-selected group of people that are, first of all, into the technology itself, and then also, like, they want to see it work, right? So I'm kind of excited to see if it has legs with a bunch of people that don't care about the technology. They don't probably care that much about the ideas that, like, inspired Dan to create this in the first place, and that gets a lot of us excited about being here. But if we can get them to buy into the idea of, like, building this community that is working towards a common goal and stuff, and yeah, I'm interested to see how it works. And so that's what we've been up to.
Sounds awesome. Thanks so much, Mark and Eric. This is super interesting. And I have a bunch of questions that I suppose we don't have much time to get into too much, but I'm very curious to learn more. Maybe I'll just ask a couple quick ones, if that's right with you. So one, just to be clear, like, you're aiming to start this with the employees of the pizza company on Monday, and you're going to test it out more tomorrow. And then the plan is that like it will be kind of like a fractal to help Ronnie's Pizza. Is that like the mission that they'll be doing, where people will be sharing their contributions to what they did to help the pizza company? Or did I misunderstand that?
Yeah, we're trying to find a way to align people around the core values, which is excellence, integrity, and love. So those are hard to measure. People are obviously getting paid to be there, so that's a company. But in the long term, in the longer term, just the tricky bit of how do you build something that's anti-fragile and resilient, and the governance is very fragile. So if everyone can become aligned and there's a way to self-organize and come to consensus, and if the team can see that this actually works, I think it's going to work. I mean, it just seems like it's going to work. So we are going to test that. Mark's right. Like these guys, they could care less if there's a fractal or not. But I think after a quarter and we start doing something like profit sharing based on that, or something where the respect becomes part of the engine that exists, the financial engine that exists. So we basically came down to, we had to come up with a prototype. And so our prototype question was something like this. And we're doing like a 2-minute. So people have 2 minutes and they have to come to consensus in 10 minutes, because this is a picnic. People are going to be drinking. People are going to be in the pool. People are going to be hanging out. So it's going to we're going to have to keep this really simple. And we're going to have some kind of scorecard where people just rank themselves on a piece of paper and then turn it in. So each team of 6 will agree who's the highest ranked contribution and something like that. Tomorrow, the guy that's actually going to run it, he ran our picnic 2 years ago before lockdown from COVID, but he just, he loves games and he's an amazing MC. So I hope that he will have something to add to this, and he gets it sort of. Like, I'm pretty impressed by how he's got it. So he's read a few articles, but not deeply. So I'm really just kind of explaining it as a person to person.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for clarifying that, Eric and Mark. Really appreciate it. If it's okay, I don't want to speak too much. So if anybody else has questions or comments, then feel free. But there's two quick questions that I'd like to ask both Eric/Mark with this project, and then Jorge. But Jorge, if you want to go first, then feel free.
Yeah. So Valentin, you're not authorized to share any teaser of your work, right? To show us anything about your Blog Explorer or anything.
Yeah, I eagerly want to share something because we are doing tremendous work here, but I was going to share some of the screenshot of the Blog Explorer I'm working on, but after discussing with team members, we decided to postpone this, any screenshots or any other information, because it may leak some names, and there will be some names hijacking handles.
Some whales with ƒractally respect.
Yeah. So yeah, but it's coming. The plan is to make it public somewhere in the middle of September, maybe. Late September.
Great, thank you. And aside that, I would like to ask Mark, what are the symbols you have in your shirt? What do they say?
It's just the Georgian alphabet.
Okay.
It doesn't say anything. It's just the letters of the Georgian alphabet.
Great. Thank you.
Cool. I've never seen that before. What's that about?
Yeah, it's a quite small language, but yeah.
Not related. So maybe I'll ask it in the last minutes.
Okay.
Okay, and yeah, the questions I had, one, Jorge, I'm not sure if I missed it, but this week you also hosted the Spanish Fractal too. Do you speak that, or Spanish like?
Yeah, we had 6. We had 6 attendants, with pretty nice contributions. It's getting more consolidated. It's been nice. People is getting committed.
Which countries are they from?
We have had attendance from Colombia and Venezuela. And some of the Colombians are outside. For example, one of them is in Filipinas, the other one is in Canada. They do speak Spanish. And Felix Ruiz, which attends these meetings, wants to practice his Spanish by going to the fractal speaking, the Spanish speaking fractal.
It'd be good to reach
That's
out
cool.
to the microloan people in Venezuela and onboard them.
Yeah, I've been posting the existence of this fractal everywhere. I wonder why. Well, they are in our Telegram channel, but they haven't attended the meeting. I don't know why. Except for one guy, Jose Basanta, which came the week before last one.
Especially if you do some EOS rewards like the EOS fractal is doing, or the Eden fractal is doing, you could use the same smart contract, and then like that might be particularly incentivizing for people who are working. Like there's a lot of Venezuelans in the EOS community who might be very interested in joining for several reasons, especially with the EOS rewards.
Yeah, I'll move the finances incentive there.
Cool, sounds good. Yeah, feel free to reach out if you want any help with that. And then I just wanted to ask Eric, and what's that?
Really?
Oh,
like you sponsoring the fractal?
Well, maybe I could sponsor a little bit with the chief delegate funding, but I was more so specifically talking about like with the help setting up the contract, and like Vlad and James could set you up too, because the contract's already built on there, so that's an option. But I can maybe help sponsor a bit too. I don't know much, but I could try. It's an awesome project, and I want to help support it.
Thank you. Okay, so guys, we have like 14 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yes. One thing that I'm curious about too with Mark and Eric, so I think that what you guys are doing is awesome. And I'm wondering, like in the context of valuing past contributions versus future contributions or future things that you're planning to do, like I'm wondering how much you guys have been working on this so far. And lately, I think that Mark said you guys have been working on it to some extent for several months and planning it out. But I'm wondering, like, I don't know, should we value this? I guess it's a general question for everybody too, like, because it hasn't happened yet. So should this be valued like very highly now because you guys done a lot of work so far, or should we like wait to see how it goes and then value it more then? I'm just trying to contextualize this because everybody's doing great work and I'm not sure what to do as far as the rankings right now.
I think I've been talking about doing something like this for a long time, and in fact 2 years ago when we had the picnic right before COVID really came in force, I was going to try and do it then. So that's 2 years back. So it hasn't happened, and so now it's going to happen, but we're just brainstorming. We're trying to come up with in the design process where you come up with a prototype, you feel the problem, you come up with a prototype and you iterate it. So Monday will be the test of the first prototype. And then after that, it's going to be quite difficult to figure out how to get this on a weekly basis, because the team isn't going to want to spend any unpaid time online to come to consensus. So probably need to make it so that it's a paid kind of, I'm not exactly sure, but so going from this kind of in-person with a deck of cards to something that will be on a regular basis. I guess the only thing that we have going for us is we can make it mandatory. But ultimately, I think those that we'll see. I don't know how to answer that actually. Anyways, I'm doing it because I feel like there's a real problem in the long-term governance of the business, and that's why I'm doing it. So I'm hoping that it's super successful.
I'd just hop in and I'd say Eric has had a long term, he's thought about it a lot, he's put a lot of thought into it, and his contribution should definitely be more highly valued than mine. I've just for a couple of weeks, I've been brainstorming with him, and next week we will actually test something, and then from there we'll have something to work with, and then like I'll feel like I'm doing more about it. But yeah, I would say my contribution is mostly future. Eric has much more of a past contribution with this.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Eric. Okay.
Let's go ahead and go to consensus and then maybe keep chatting.
Yeah, if there are no other questions, let's move in, and we can start with level 6, or we can just
I'll suggest we just write the top 3 level contributors, the top 3 contributors in alphabetical order. Each of us.
Yeah, it
write
might be, it might be easier than voting up people in person. And also, if there are participants who don't want to go to the second level, maybe you just raise your hands or just tell us.
Yeah, I would prefer not to.
I think,
like I said
Mark and
earlier,
I-
I'm at a party and I'm sitting outside, so I would love to go back.
I'm in the same position. I'm going to actually be joining that party. So I think Val, Dan, and Jorge, you guys should go to the next level and just keep it as simple as that. So
Yeah, it really makes our lives easier. It's, really appreciate your contribution as well. And so now we need to decide who of you is.
Like I said earlier, Eric has been working on this a lot more than I have, so I definitely think he should be ranked higher than me.
All right, yeah, so it's very easy to.
this is what I would rank you guys, 6, 5, and 4. But I know that's not alphabetical, but you can go for that if that's helpful. I don't know.
Okay. Cool. Well, thanks. That was that's quite an easy consensus making process because you guys both had the party and so forth too. But yeah,
Party feels consensus.
Yeah, it was my easiest consensus reaching
Right.
process.
Party with ladies versus
Uh,
meeting with.
my wife is here, so I don't know about the.
How do we format it?
If someone could write that so I could copy it, because I'm sitting on my phone and I'm having a heck of a time trying to type this out.
Yeah, I'm working on it right now.
Perfect.
So
Well,
Eric, Mark, are you in some pizza business? Are you running a pizzeria?
We have, my wife and I started a pizza shop 13 years ago. We had the vision to start something good and grow and go outside of Georgia, but we're not outside of Georgia yet, but we are now 4 stores and systems are becoming more standardized. We have our own IT system, ERP, that we're working on. So I would love to integrate the API or whatever ƒractally would have set up. I could imagine that the consensus could happen kind of somewhere in the HR module. But yeah, you can
guys
find
please
us.
review your names on the post I just did to check spelling is correct.
Looks good.
Yeah, looks good to me. Thank you, Jorge.
Mark.
Moto Tbilisi. Yep.
Sorry. Yes, it looks good. Thank you so much, Jorge.
Yeah, I think this ƒractally process, yeah, it can be adapted for any business. But I think it's perfect for some grassroots marketing when you can involve, if you want to involve community, not your employees. You can compensate employees directly.
Yeah, so a lot of businesses start creating profits, but then they don't know how to distribute those very efficiently. And I think ƒractally process has the potential to distribute efficiently and align incentives and consensus. That's very powerful.
Yeah, I agree. This process can be applied to any business.
Yeah,
it really shine when you want to reward outside people working on you, and when there is some large community of maybe more than 100 members.
Yeah.
I've been talking to my friend building, working on create some game console, and they are looking to employ some of their community members to do marketing for them. Also, they want to reward some third-party application developers, and thinking of adapting this ƒractally process as well. So it's really can be applied to any business, I think.
So how is a party in Georgia? Do you guys dance? Do you guys jump? What do you guys do in Georgia for partying?
Lots of drinking.
Not drinking?
Drain the glass.
Most
There's a
people
lot of
don't know
wine
wine
here.
was invented here, so they love to drink their wine.
Yeah, the
And,
wine is really
yeah.
good, and the meals
Yeah,
go on and
barbecue.
on and on. Like
Is there any dancing?
there's beautiful dancing. Yeah.
Like what kind of music? Shakira?
Not quite. There's Georgian traditional
polyphonic.
music and dancing and stuff that's quite cool. And yeah,
I
then
believe the polyphonic singing started here as well.
Polyphonic singing? Is so are you saying two different notes like high note and low note at the same time?
Polyphonic, right? Yeah, you've got kind of like the barbershop quartets in the US became kind of famous with these kind of.
I would love to visit. So there is this part of the Discord channel, the ƒractally Discord server, which is called Random, I guess, where you guys can post all these special events. For example, the event you're having tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, Eric, in which you do fractal democracy without any tech. It'll be fun to have a sneak peek of what you guys did and post it there.
Can I put photos there or video?
Yeah, that's the point.
I'm
all
really
random,
having a
I
hard
guess.
time just keeping up with all the time needed. Dan, I'm totally impressed with how much you've gotten done in 1 week, like reading and watching. That's just legit full time.
Thanks. Although some of it is more so listening to be able to save time if I'm out and I'm able to listen rather than watch. But yeah, I am working as much as I can to help ƒractally, and I appreciate your appreciation for that. I'm also wondering too. So I think Jorge suggested it, but will you be sharing like some updates about how it goes with the event on Monday? Like, will there be an article or videos or pictures where we can learn more about it, other than just hoping to see you at the next week's meeting?
You should make a video.
I almost dropped something on the Genesis ƒractally to kind of get people. I should have just been really busy. But I will do something like that on the Genesis ƒractally or in Discord. I have a difficult time navigating Discord, to be honest. So maybe if you want to reach out, I'm gonna try and get some kind of video, some kind of documentation going, at least photos for sure.
Yeah, I think we definitely want to kind of like show everybody what we're doing in the hopes that yeah, some of you all here in ƒractally will also be willing to give us some input and advice as we go along. Once we have some idea of how things are working, I'm sure we'll run up against stuff and we would love input. And so, yeah, I think we'll definitely be posting somewhere, something.
Cool. Sounds great. Thank you, Mark and Eric. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how this goes. Also, Val was talking a bit about experimenting with it in that different business context too. I feel like you guys can really pioneer how communities and companies can use this process. And I also love the kind of mission that you shared, like has made life better at Ronnie's. So it's kind of like, it's quite holistic. It's focused on helping the business, but it's also about like, you mentioned all sorts of good values and stuff. So I think that you guys are like, well, it sounds like it's going to be a great way to lead by example and so forth. And I'm really interested to hear it goes.
I'd be happy for help kind of broadcasting the results and stuff like that too. It's not necessarily my strength. If I can get my TikTok guys and my Instagram guys, they definitely can do it, but I need some buy-in first on kind of the core team, which I don't have yet. But yeah, we'd get a couple million views on that for sure.
And
Yes.
by the way, do you have? Yeah, Jorge, go ahead.
Yeah, I remember hearing Dan mention it about something related to inter-blockchain IBC, like the next big goal after the launch of the new blockchain. How do you guys envision the liquidity pools between, for example, ƒractally's respect and the respect from Eden Fractal, which is on the EOS platform? Will ƒractally be compatible with EOS? How do you guys envision that?
I'm not aware of any particular details, but blockchain developers and they're very excited about some innovations they came with. So they say it will be possible to have some IBC communication between even EVM compatible blockchains, and I think EOS would be compatible as well, because it's IBC would be running just maybe some dedicated people, dedicated nodes, so it should be compatible with any blockchain.
There's about 50 seconds left, and I want to say a couple quick things. One, thanks everybody for the great meeting. Two, if you haven't checked it out, I recommend checking out Ronnie's Pizza on TikTok. They do awesome work. And Eric and Mark, if you ever want help in any way, feel free to reach out. I'd also be happy to help inspire your team too, if you want more buy-in or whatever. And then, yeah, also IBC too. I think that, like Dan's talked about, how trust is ƒractally superpower. And so oracles can be way more trusted with fractals. So I think it can work quite well.
Right.
But
right. So when we can establish trust, we can establish trust between blockchains. And this really helps. All right. Thank you. See you.
Bye,
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good one.
It was
Thanks,
the most
everyone.
relaxed meeting I've ever been.
yeah, right. Enjoy the party too, guys.
Take pictures.
Thanks. Have a good one.
You too.
Josh, as we're all coming back, Koja was having some Hive problems recording his consensus. So is there any way we could help him? Is there anyone that could help him out of band?
Yeah, well, first of all, for anyone that has that issue this week or any other week, one thing that normally works is to sign out of Hive and then sign back in. That normally resolves the issue in my experience and observations. So Koja, if you haven't tried that, just go ahead and sign out of Hive and then sign back in and try to make the comment. I've posted, welcome back, by the way, everyone. I've posted the blog post where you can leave a comment with your correctly formatted consensus results from your breakout room if you haven't done that already. And it looks like Andrew's got his hand up. Go ahead, Andrew.
I'm just curious, are the Hive names case sensitive?
Good question. They're case sensitive in our spreadsheet.
Are case sensitive, but we're going to lower them anyway, or algorithmically lower them. So it's just helpful to make them all lowercase, but it's not necessary.
Thank
you. Yeah, also, since we all have Hive accounts, go ahead and upvote the post so that we can get Joshua some Hive respect. Because it doesn't cost as much. And it also helps our post trend and get increased visibility.
When we upvote the post, does it provide any risk of like running out of Hive power and not being able to submit the next consensus votes? I'm not sure how that works. So I've never upvoted because I didn't want to be able to not be able to post consensus.
In theory, maybe. I think where their resource credits, we're not using it enough. If you use it once a week for doing 2 things a week or 3 things a week, I don't think that's going to be a problem on Hive. If it is, we will remedy that situation.
I can confirm that. Early on, I decided, oh, let me just upvote everybody's vote and get the most exposure. and ran out of power. So yeah, as Dan said, if you do a few things, and it's enough, it's like 8 or 10 actions. If you like the Hive post, you make your 2 votes. You've got plenty of power to do a few items. Just don't click everything.
So I guess what I'd say is post the thing that is most important, your comment, and then upvote after you've done that. That will be the most important way that the most important thing's done.
Yeah.
If you have Hive power and you participate on Hive, then it's actually more valuable. You definitely won't run out because you're a Hive user, and you're doing more to compensate. Anyway, Felix.
Also, when in doubt, you can use a percentage during the upload. That will save your resource credits.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Felix. You have a question?
No, just comment. So I guess consensus changed at the very last second in our group. I just, again, I want to bring up the point. So basically, I mean, I don't know. I guess some people are taking offense that if I just straight up call somebody out instead of making a video that's indirect about just being straightforward. So maybe I'll just make a video and I'm going to dissect things from my perspective. But I want to iterate again to the community. ƒractally, I love the ƒractally team. You guys are doing great work, but you guys also are being compensated for your contributions. If you're not going to respect other community members' work, then this is just, you guys are going to become massive wells of this chain, and that's not a decentralized community. So I'm just putting that out there for the community. Like when we're making these decisions, also realize when we have ƒractally team members in each other's group, pushing each other forward and not taking other contributions into play, that's a problem. So again, I'll make a video and I'll address these things because at the very last second we had reached consensus, but then Thomas had stepped forward and you know, he pushed his thing. We had another ƒractally team member, Brandon, in there, kind of support him. It sways things, the influence is there, but the community had reached consensus on pushing me to the second round. It's interesting. Again, I'm fine with it is what it is. But again, I will make a video dissecting things because we need to take this into consideration. Like if this is a truly decentralized community, then ƒractally team members, you guys need to realize your contributions that are getting compensated are like, I'm sorry, I have a hard time ranking those above somebody like Matt or Jason Jenkins, who are taking their own extra time and contributing, but then ƒractally team members are still being ranked higher because their contributions naturally are heavier, but they were compensated. Their full-time job was to get compensated to do this thing. So that is double dipping in my opinion. So I'm pretty passionate about this. I apologize if I say some things I probably shouldn't say, but I also feel like I need to express myself with how I feel because this is how we flush things out. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Felix. Lenny.
Well, I have one easy question, and then I want to make a comment to what I add in the second one after that. The first easy one is something that I've heard an answer to 3 times from you, Dan, and I think I know the answer. But I had someone adamant about, oh, yeah, these respects and similar, there's not going to be any token or anything. My understanding, what I've understood from your words earlier, Dan, a number of times here, is that level of respect will be, so to say, transferred into whatever token and token name is going to be in future. But you could spell it out in a short, concise way, so there's no doubt to anyone who hears it.
Yeah, I mean, the blog post that we put on ƒractally, sorry, on Hive, indicates this is the token supply. This is how many tokens you're going to get. This is what the supply is going to be 24 years into the future. There are tokens that are being distributed every single week. I would like to, I guess, add one extra point to what Felix is saying. Tokens don't give you any voting power. So no matter how many tokens you recognize someone with, they've got no voting power in the community. You could look at it another way, is someone with tokens, if there's people that want tokens in the future and there's a market for the tokens, not saying that there is, what percentage of the people should be able to sell to get reimbursed, and so forth. So, but yeah, just that's the main thing that differentiates fractal governance from everything else, is that at any point in time, this group of people can choose to value new leaders. To, you know, my Fractally's got no incumbent advantage in terms of things, right? If people feel like Felix does in a broad sense, then Fractally will cease to be a highly valued contributor of the community, and then Fractally will have to figure out what it's going to do, since its contributions are clearly not valued by this particular community. And that's where the right of secession comes in, and that's where all these other things come into play. So yeah, it's worthwhile to remember that tokens are not power in this ecosystem. That there's relatively few people, I mean 50 people in this group. If it was evenly distributed, everyone would get 2%. 2% of anything massive is a large percentage, right? 2% of EOS, 2% of any of the top 100 cryptocurrency projects out there is over $2 million. So even if you get 1% or a fraction of a percent, it's really hard to put a monetary value on what the tokens are right now. So that's just, I'll throw that out there. Lenny.
Yeah, my initial question was, kind of now following on Felix and similar. I'm not in this game for token numbers and similar. I'm hoping to actually have a bit of a influence in how things develop, because I'm a kind of guy who try to get all different angles from community and similar. But at the same time, I'm doing things like recaps and trying to stay neutral and not aligned with anyone. So I am therefore standing beside teams and similar. I do not want to align me with anything. But unfortunately, I'm the one who kind of go against the stream, because here the focus is on the teams. But that means also that I will always be down on the lower scale, and I have no problems with it, not except I will have difficulty to actually influence it in future when we are really moving forward in different ways. So that's a negative to keep in mind. Some people might not. And then you might say, all right, but why don't you make your own team of these guys? Yeah, who do I trust? We are talking about, you know, really, it's not an easy thing to get people that are really neutral and non-aligned. Thanks.
Well, yeah, Lenny, just one quick comment on that. I think maybe there has been a shift recently in the last few weeks, which I don't know if it's been updated for everyone yet. My brain is still adjusting to it. But previously, team members were kind of representing the contributions of their entire team. And lately, we've kind of, I mean, you can subjectively still do what you want, but we've kind of done away with that, I think. And you're really just representing your individual contributions here at this point. And you could mention that you're on a team, but maybe Dan, if you just want to clarify one more time, and maybe it could help the new people too.
Yeah. Teams are your friends, your accountability, the people you enjoy hanging out with, and they're just half of everything that you earn here is filtered through your team, because your team's got more insight into what you're doing. But teams don't have to be all programmers or all marketing people or all legal people or whatever. Teams can be diverse things, diverse groups of people. The only thing you want for your team is to know each other, to help facilitate the mission of the Fractal, to encourage one another. That's the purpose of your team, because it's not possible to build deep relationships with everyone in the Fractal. And so being on a team is important just for that. The other thing is teams magnify results, 1 + 1 being 3. So by encouraging people to be on teams, you are producing more value. So there is value for being on a team, but it doesn't matter what the team is or what the team's done collectively. It matters what you're doing. And so and then the team is rewarded, and the team is sort of like the double check on what you've done. And so someone on a team is more trustworthy than someone not on a team by virtue of the fact that they've got more accountability. And therefore they're double count. They receive twice the income with the consent of their team. So yeah, Brandon, we've got 3 minutes before we have to filter out. You're muted, Brandon.
Thank you. Just a quick administrative note here. We had one person share the same consensus, but the first three are in a different order, not alphabetical. The consensus does match does match two other people's. So we've got 3 out of 5 with that same consensus. Just a note for you administrators. The first 2 are the second 2, I think, are switched. You'll see that. Hopefully that doesn't trip anything up. Secondly, I'd say that was the wildest meeting I've ever participated in. And consensus actually changed in the last 10 seconds before we were kicked out. And I didn't know how it would go until we actually posted in Hive. And it went the other way, the way that it was wild, okay? I want to make a quick note in response to what Felix said. We on the ƒractally team have taken quite a pay cut, a pay decrease for some of us. It's in the 6 figures if you factor in benefits and all of that, to work full-time at ƒractally. And so that represents a lot of value that we could have been capturing somewhere else that we haven't been capturing in our day-to-day full-time jobs. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about the contributions of ƒractally team members, and the fact that yes, they're paid, but there's a lot of sacrifice there. Finally, kudos to Maxime. He released a video this last week, and we had 2 new people in our breakout group. One was there because of the video. And finally, we had one person in our group who wasn't able to sign the ƒractally agreement, so they're not a part of the consensus, as you'll see. So that's it. I know we're running out of time here. Thank you.
Yeah, so before anyone else goes, I just want to mention I'm going to have to start going through the list and putting people in the waiting room, which means you'll be able to rejoin the meeting after we finish round 2. In the meantime, you can go to the voice chat in Discord. I've put the link in there a couple of times, and I'll try my best for next week to maybe have a little bit of a different process, but this is just the easiest thing logistically to get everyone ready to randomize into round 2. So if you end up in the waiting room, it's because of what we're doing here. It's not a personal thing, just logistical. Patrick, Felix, you want to mention something while we're getting ready for round 2 here?
Yeah, thank you, Joshua, and thank you all here. A lot of respect. I just want to. Hello. Okay. So I just want to say to Felix, I heard you, man, and all of us, we hear you, and you have the courage to say what you think. That's very good. And that's the power of the lion. We have to be independent. At the same time, we have also to be collaborating more and more. And I think it's an experiment ongoing. So a lot of respect for this ƒractally team, because without this ƒractally team, we will not even have the idea to create an hidden fractal team. That's the fractal paradigm since the beginning of this year. And thank you to Daniel Larimer to give us that, to serve us that, because that's a privilege. I think we don't see that in other blockchain. We are the best blockchain ecosystem. We want to contribute between us. We want to give more collaborating by contributing. And yeah, so myself participating into those ƒractally meeting, that's growing myself. That's let me know other people that have had maybe have the chance to know. And Felix, you are part of that. And Dancing Joy also, and others. So big shout out to you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Are we all done, Joshua? I just want to be mindful of the clock.
I am not Pascal, I am Patrick.
I'm going through the list here. So just a moment. We need to get down to 24.
If you weren't in the top 3 in your group, please raise your hand so that you can help Joshua filter you out and put you in the waiting room. Or you can just leave the room, either way.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question. Can I?
Yep.
Just in our meeting, I was in the top 3, but I cannot post our consensus. Can I participate in the round 2?
You have a Hive account, your Hive, you having problems with your Hive account?
Yeah, I have problem. I cannot log in. I don't know why. Like I try, but it said your password not used during the 30 day, something like this.
I see no reason why you can't participate, and we can try to figure out your login problem later. Have you
Okay.
accepted, if you've accepted the agreement, that's the main thing. Were you successful in
Yeah, I
posting
accept.
Hive? Then go ahead and participate, and we'll try to figure out your Hive problems later.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Josh, are we ready? We got 27 people, 26 people. Is that? Anyone here who was not in the top 3? All right.
I did a spot check. It looks, just by eye, it looked right to me.
Okay. Let's go ahead and do the breakout room, Joshua.
Well, if okay, 20, 26.
How many do you expect, Josh?
To be honest, I don't remember if we had 8 or 9 breakout rooms this time. Let me just look. We had 8, so there should only be 24.
So I missed one. So I think we're not, we got at least one more to put in the waiting room.
If you're still here, you're working against the community right now. Please raise your hand if you are not in the top 3. I'm guessing Jorge and Tommy. They're the only ones not on camera.
It shows 24 on my screen here, 24 participants.
Yeah, it shows
Oh,
24 in
it's
mine too.
because there's 2 in the waiting room. My apologies. All right. Okay, that was silly.
Oh yeah, thanks.
Let's recreate the rooms here. Okay, so it's even including the breakout participants or the people in the waiting room in the randomization. So I think 4 rooms should be fine, even though it's telling me it's going to be 6 to 7 people. It should only be 4 rooms of 6. So I'm going to recreate the rooms. And that didn't work. Okay, I need to remove these people. So sorry, Paul, Sex, and Eric. When you remove them, they can't rejoin the meeting, so it's just easier to put them in the breakout room and they leave themselves. Okay, recreate 4 rooms of 6, and I'll join number 4. Okay, here we go. Same process, 45 minutes, and then 60-second delay after the room closes. We'll see you guys back here, and I hope you have a good time.
Hey, Corey, good to see you. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And Josh, welcome. It's been a while since I've been in a room with Josh.
All right, all right.
Super cool. By the way, everybody, I'm recording. I will plan to share this on YouTube at some point soon. And yeah, Corey, it's great to meet you. I heard you speak in the last one, and I love your enthusiasm. And also, your brother's awesome. And also, Maxim, your video was awesome too. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Dan.
If you're gonna put it on YouTube, I should have left my cute outfit on.
Well,
I have a friend coming over to help me clean, so I'm changed into workout clothes.
Okay, cool. Well, working out's good. That's healthy. And I think that Dan Larimer's shirt and Joshua's background make up for all of us because they look super cool.
All right. Well, my contribution's been pretty consistent, funding the ƒractally team, working on the UNA agreement this week and guiding the ƒractally team as we're preparing for releasing the initial version of our blockchain software open up to the community. So lots of progress on that front. And it will all be made much more transparent in the very near future. But I'm going to try to reserve more time for everyone else. So Maxim, you're in the top left corner of my screen, so I'll have you go first or second.
Right on. Yeah, I started a YouTube channel a long time ago, and I really wasn't posting for quite a while, and I just started up again, really focusing on totally different. It's blockchain, but totally different than ƒractally. And I've really been looking forward to finding a way of introducing to my channel ƒractally. And so I finally was able to post a video, and right now that video has almost 1,997 views. And I also noticed in the Telegram, I think there was shortly after I posted that video about 22 new additions to the Telegram, which I'm not saying all those are from that video. But then on top of that, one guy, Pulsex, was in my own Zoom room just today, which was so cool to see. And I've had a lot of pretty cool feedback from just in the comments on that too. It's been pretty encouraging. And I just posted that on Thursday. So that's my contribution this week.
Can you post a link to it? I'd like to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll post that just a second.
All right. Who would you like to nominate to go next?
Well, Dan, you already went, I think. Did you already go? Right. That was your introduction. Okay, Corey's next on my screen.
Guys, this is going to be really short because this week, I think a couple people just couldn't make it. And I got put into the second round because of that. There were 3 new people again in our group, me being, well, 4, including me. So, yeah, I just got like, I pushed through, to be honest. So I'm here to learn, and I defer to the next person in my screen. Well, let's just go below me because that's Jorge. I don't have any. You guys already went that are next to me.
Thank you.
Who's below you?
So you're bringing your good luck to the community.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm bringing my smile.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I'll share my screen. Right here. So are you guys all watching?
We can see it. Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
So as you guys know, I created a couple of weeks ago, actually 3 weeks ago, the Spanish speaking fractal. We had our 3rd meeting last Tuesday with 6 attendants. People is getting really committed. Some of these attendants are already reporting pretty nice contributions. I'll show you. This is a set of several dozens of MP3 files from the ƒractally white paper. So someone within the community created an audio version of the ƒractally white paper in Spanish in these MP3 files. I'll see if I can play one of them. Let's see. What about this one?
I think when you share your screen, you have to click the check boxes to share the sound.
Are you guys hearing?
No,
Yeah, we can't hear it. You have to configure.
Okay. Anyway, it's a audio version of the ƒractally white paper. We have several dozens of MP3 files there. And the good thing is that, well, the good thing for this fractal is that the person from the Spanish speaking fractal who did this is not coming to these meetings. So he's not receiving any respect for that. So the community is not incurring in any inflation because of this contribution. So it's pretty much a free contribution to the community from that other fractal. I also participated in the Eden Fractal meeting where we have been discussing several things, one of them being the liquidity pools between these 2 respect tokens, meaning the fractal is respect plus and the Eden fractal respect. There you can see my picture speaking. There it is, there is mine. I also created this Hive post regarding the interim consensus protocol. in it, I proposed this formula for the decision power. It is the average level from the last n meetings, which is what the ƒractally team initially proposed, times the natural logarithm of the number of meetings attended. This formula has the advantage of converging to what the ƒractally team initially proposed, but including converging to the same results, the same rankings, but including the number of meetings attended. And by doing that, it protects the community from people that comes and initially makes big contributions, but then because of that, want to take over the community. So it can be improved, but it's like a first version of a much elaborated mathematical version for who can have decision power within this community and who can become a member of the council. And I think that's it for me for now. So I'll stop sharing this screen and I'll give the next turn to Dan. Sinjoy.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Roy, and thank you so much, everybody. I'll share a brief presentation as well to show what I've been doing to help ƒractally and fractal governance. So, as I always like to open up on the beautiful website and visuals. This week, something I'm really excited about is something that Josh has been organizing. I participated in 2 of these meetings, and I encourage everybody to join them. Josh is setting up meetings every day at 2 p.m. EST for More Equal Animals, starting the ƒractally white paper, going awareness and adoption, and building the next generation of DAOs and establishing your ƒractal DAO. So I participated in, I think, the first 2 of these this week. I don't know if there was one Thursday I missed, but Josh and I and Marco were the only people, but Josh is planning to promote it more, and I'm interested in helping promote it more. And I think that these are super helpful to have like daily events basically for the community. I also hosted the 13th Eden Fractal meeting. We had 15 participants, and it was really cool. As Jorge was talking about, we talked quite a lot about the interim consensus process, which I'll talk about more. And I also participated in the Alien Worlds Fractal. I've been participating in all these, and so I shared presentations about ƒractally and about Eden Fractal and the consensus process and so forth there, and talk with some people who are new to the system. I manage the Eden Fractal Twitter account, so I put out a tweet showing the distribution of Eden and EOS and NFTs for this week and thanking everybody, and then another tweet with some cool artwork to show where the videos are and the NFTs and the proposal for the interim consensus process in the Discord. And then also I share these in a bunch of different Telegram chats for EOS and Eden to help promote fractal governance on EOS and help people understand how this can be so helpful for EOS and everybody. And then also there was kind of a backup Telegram group that people started joining and so forth. So I put up a quick kind of message that just shows an overview of where people can learn more about Eden Fractal as well as Genesis Fractal and ƒractally.com there. I also did some website upgrades. I've been building EdenCreators.com. And so this week I did some upgrades to the garden. It's still quite early, but this is basically where I put together an intro to the garden to explain what it is kind of more so, but it's basically a good place for notes and then lots of articles about Eden Fractal and Genesis Fractal and all sorts of different things that I'll share more when it's more ready, but you can explore there. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I put up the proposal for the Eden Fractal interim consensus process based off the original process, and that inspired quite a lot of discussion. I updated this over the course of the week, and I shared it with the Eden Fractal group, and then we discussed a lot at the meeting. And then also there's been lots of discussion after Dan's new proposal for the addendum, and then I've been just answering questions and sharing some thoughts, and then reading everybody's thoughts, like Das's proposal that we discussed before the meeting, and like Jorge's article that he wrote about this as well. So thank you, Jorge, very much for sharing your thoughts here. I also host the Hot Sauce, and on this week's Hot Sauce, I talked about Eden Fractal. I gave kind of a quarterly update because it's been 13 weeks now, and I talked about ƒractally a bit, and I also talked about BBS. I've been exploring BBS quite a bit, basically aiming to use the ƒractally social media system with BBS, which is an existing social media app that's quite developed on EOS. So there's a lot of research I've been doing for the past couple of weeks, and I've been combining it with the ideas of the white paper. So I'll share more about that when there's more details, but I shared an episode about it, and then I've been continually researching how to make that happen. And then I also, as chief delegate, I did a chief delegate meeting with with the Eden on EOS community, and I spoke quite a bit about Eden Fractal and Fractally there, and I've been working on a bylaw proposal for Eden on EOS to make it with a lot of the learnings that we have from Fractally and so forth. I've been referring to Mike Manfredi's recent article about this quite a bit, and building up like kind of the thing about why these Fractally processes are so helpful for the Eden community. So I'll share more about that. I also wrote a bit about natural giving and promises and gifts, which I think is really important. And yeah, I recommend checking out Mike Manfredi's articles there. And I've been continuing to research DAO tools on Ethereum, such as DWork that Joshua has been pioneering. Looking forward to sharing more there soon. And this week I also put together a page about the math and rationale for respect, and like why it's helpful to join early, and a proposal to use the Eden Fractal Respect to form a mutual respect liquidity pool with the Genesis Fractal, which I think is really helpful. Other than that, I retweeted things, and I spoke on the Helios Twitter space about James Mart's article, and I watched the video from Maxim and Felix's video and James's video. And then, yeah, I encourage everybody to join these meetings. That's it. Thank you, everybody.
I guess I'm the remaining person here.
Yes.
No, you're not.
Okay. I'm realizing it's getting difficult to cram things into one meeting. I think what I'm going to start to do is publish a recap, like a personal recap on Fridays nights or Saturday mornings, and that could maybe, some members already do something kind of like that. That could be a good best practice to demonstrate for other members. But also, I think we need some kind of a recap. We have passive and active members, and I think we need a recap for people who just want to stay in the loop with things going on. So there's like so many articles and videos flying around. I think we're well into the space where we now need something to recap all of that. So one thing I do want to highlight is, and I won't go into it because Dan already kind of presented it, but there's 5 new weekly meetings, the same time every day of the weekday, Monday through Friday. They all have a different theme and a different intention and purpose. Initially, we're just going to kind of sense it out and get like flesh out a meeting format, get some co-hosts and facilitators. Some people are already raising their hands. I'd like to see maybe besides myself, I'd like to see like 2 different people or at least 1 different person on every meeting. So maybe 5 to 10 different co-hosts. If that's something you're interested in, let me know. And what I'd like to do is get this to the point where the recording is really valuable and worth posting. And from there, I'd like to get it to the point where it would actually make sense to live stream it or to promote it on social media, like maintaining a YouTube channel or something. I've been giving a lot of thought to a community-driven social media brand. I'm up in the air on that. I'd like to hear some opinions. I'm getting ready to publish an article about it. My notes are in Notion, but I want to continue to put out a feeler for that. We'll see if there's interest. But the interesting thing about these events is I'm trying to bring our community to life. Interested in, and there's work that needs to be done. Wouldn't it be nicer, because it's opportunities to contribute, if it was a community-driven effort? So we've got a course for the Fractally white paper. So now we have an event for that. We have a modulated course that we can develop for more equal animals, and there's pieces of that already developed. We now have an event for that. These are things that might draw people in, help with education and onboarding and that kind of thing. And then we will have people who are going to found fractals. So we're going to need some kind of a process for them. So now we have a weekly event for that. This is there's a way to attract people, because people are going to come to this community and they're going to want to found fractals. But we're in a stage right now where it's really not a good idea to try to found a fractal. Right now, in my opinion, it's better to actually participate in the Genesis Fractal and just kind of be patient and wait for the protocol and the network and the software to launch. But for those who are already trying to do it, or those who intend to do it, I think it's time that we all kind of get together and start fleshing things out. So I think this is an attraction. And then I've also reorganized our fractals. It's like our groups area. So I've gotten rid of the stuff that doesn't really have any attention. And so now we just have the Genesis Fractal, the Spanish speaking group, the Eden group, Alien Worlds. We've got BitShares coming along nicely. I think there's some interest in Hive, and I've deleted everything else. And I might also delete Bitcoin, but I'll leave it there and just see. There has been some interest in the past, but that one will probably get deleted. So we'll just add stuff as we need. We've been kind of cleaning up in here. There's a new meeting now for the Genesis Fractal group. And if you come to this website and you're not actually logged in with an account or anything, and you're not part of any of these groups and courses, then in the events page, you would only see opportunity to earn respect. And so I've made sure one of those 5 events now shows up in the general network, which is building the next gen of DAOs. And I hope that this event, when you look at the event descriptions and stuff, if you haven't yet, I hope this event will maybe appeal to the broader DAO community or people who are becoming interested in DAO. So now there'll at least be 2 events here besides our weekly event when people are just, if someone sends them to this website on Twitter and stuff like that. What else do I want to mention? I'm working on an article that I hope to publish this weekend about how to earn respect for your contributions to other projects. So Dan can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the ƒractally team for the next couple of quarters is really going to be making a lot of headway on the decentralized exchange or the social media platform. But the stuff that they will be building will be using a lot of open source code. There's already a lot of open source components out there. And so what I've been thinking is, well, if there's people from a strategic standpoint, if there's people who are already involved in building a decentralized exchange and they're contributing hard or soft skills to a to that kind of a project, then they could technically come here to this meeting and position those contributions in such a way where the community potentially gives them respect. So we could get like 5 different teams that are working on open source Web3 social media components that we may use here for ƒractally's on ƒractally's network for that version, that those features in the application. And we could start to strategically attract people to help build things that speed up the development so that maybe 2 business quarters don't go by without having some progress made. But strategically, we'd also be bringing in people that we need and want who are already doing contributions. And so for their existing contributions, potentially they could be getting some respect for that. So I think that's a thought process, especially with BitShares and Hive. I think there's a way to do some strategic alliance there. So I'm going to try to prompt that in the community and circulate this to other people to see what they think.
There's definitely going to be more opportunities for development and building apps as soon as the open source software and the API. Like we've been spending most of the past couple of weeks just getting the documentation in place so that people can have some guidance on how they can actually contribute and build apps on our platform that integrate with Exchange and create tokens and build social apps and things like that. So
I'm curious what the community is going to think about that strategic thought process. The other kind of similar line of thinking, there's this book that's buzzing, which I'm still reading, The Network State, and they've pioneered this idea of startup societies. And so I want to make the correlation that these would be perfect fractal DAOs. And on their website where the book is, there's a list of, there's a dashboard where they're tracking 26 startup societies. So I'm not sure if it's time for us to add ourselves to the list, but I'm considering doing that. And I just don't know if it's too soon because this thing does have a lot of buzz. So it might bring us more people than what we're looking for, but maybe it's fine to go ahead and do it. But at the very least, I think these are potential prospects to want to be a part of what we're doing. At least a good portion of them. These are like prospective fractals. I think there's a lot of crossover with the network state and what we're doing here. So I'm going to put out an exploratory campaign on that. I already talked about the social media brand, and I've got some content that I've been working on backlog for a while. I just relocated my family to another state in the mountains. I'm using the Starlink internet, by the way. And I need to explain and walk people through what we're doing with Sobel and DWork and these other, and Clarity and stuff like this, these other applications and how all of that works. And I want to just highlight that the ƒractally team has added some stuff to the DWork board. So we've got a testing and feedback form. If you haven't seen that, some people have already submitted some things here. Yeah.
This is a lot of great information that you're providing, but we need to summarize your stuff.
Good point. So I'm out of time. I'll pause there and we can begin our consensus process.
Anyway, Josh, I just want to say I love all your contributions that you've been making, that you're really building the community together, organizing things. This community would not be where we are today without your contributions to date so far. So thank you so much for that.
Completely agree.
All right.
Thank you, Josh.
So go ahead. bring up the chat here, and we'll go ahead and start with level 8. I guess first thing, does anyone have any questions before we begin to clarify?
Yep, I do have a question to Dan Sinjoy. I saw you post my contribution in your screen, and also Maxim's video in your screen, and Felix's video in your screen. So it was like, what did you say? You said you read that paper and you saw that video and you saw the video from Felix. Is that why you posted those contributions there?
Yes, essentially. My thinking is, one, reading these things and watching them, paying our attention to learn about them is a contribution to the ƒractally Genesis group. So I want to lead by example, and then also help promote your work too. When new people come to these meetings, I can show, hey, this is what I'm doing as part of the work to learn about ƒractally, and also help promote, hey, you can check out Maxim's video and Jorge's work and so forth to learn more.
Thank you. I have a question for Dan Larimer. I maybe missed your contributions. Aside from financing the development, did you have any like technical contribution, or what else did you do about?
My contributions this week have largely been reviewing the documentation, guiding the team, and dealing with the legal framework for the UNA. That's been, and a lot of this stuff is good. The fruit of it's going to show up in, I keep saying, just 2 weeks to release the code. The team's working really hard, and I'm really excited about what's going to be released. And I think that, but yeah, that's what I've been doing. The team's working full time.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions to help people? All right. So you like that, Maxim? Thanks. So we can go ahead and do consensus for the greatest contribution, or who we think should be at level 8 in 3.
What is level 9?
There is no level 9.
There is no level 9, because someone talked about a level 9. So that's a newbie question.
Oh, no, as far as I'm aware, there is no level 9.
Okay, thanks. I would swear in the last call, someone said they got level 9 last week. So I got it wrong.
Yeah, maybe they forgot that there's one overlap. So
Well,
the
now
lowest
it's-
level in this is level 3. So if you take 1 through 3 and then 6, they could get 9. But this group is 8 through 3. So just because you get to round 2 doesn't necessarily mean you're taken to a slightly higher level. You just have the opportunity to go to a higher level.
Level 9 is outside of this fractal reality. Spiritual
Round
reality.
9, I believe, is what
That's
it's
where
called.
I operate. My brain.
All right. All right. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. I appreciate all the support. I wanted to throw Joshua out there because I thought that he deserved the extra respect. So I guess
3 for Joshua and 3 for Dan.
I think we have 4 for Dan. Maxim, is yours Dan Larimer or Dan Singjoy?
Dan Larimer, I tried to correct it.
Okay.
Yeah, Dan Larimer.
Oh yeah, so maybe we do have a tie.
yeah, it's 3 and 3.
If we don't give Dan number 1, I want to put Maxim on level 8.
Yeah, Josh, I want to particularly recognize you this week for all your work in making all this stuff happen. So if I've gotten 8 every single week, but or almost every single week. Like there's 1 week I didn't. So I'll throw that out there as if anyone's willing to just go with my opinion on that, or if you want to argue for why I should be ranked higher than Josh, I'll let someone else make that argument this week.
I'll argue.
oh,
I'll argue in favor of Joshua just for the sake of variety.
Okay.
Well,
are you going to further argue or just say that?
I'm in favor of Joshua.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate the offer, Dan, but if we're just being if we're really looking at contributions, it's incredibly difficult to try to match your contributions any given week. There's not enough respect in the in our tokenomics, for what you've done here for all of us.
All right.
Yeah. I'll also add to that too, unless you want to say something first, Dan.
No, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah, so a couple thoughts here. One, I do greatly appreciate what Joshua's doing here. I also really appreciate what Maxim's doing too. So I think that Maxim's deserving a lot of respect this week. And in general, but especially this week. And then, yeah, for Dan, like something that Joshua was saying was like the constraints of the system don't kind of allow you to express like the true respect for what it really is, because there's only so much level 8 gets more than level 7 and so forth. And when I look at the rankings or like the total amount of tally of it, like Dan has like maybe 20% more, 30% more than quite a few people. And I feel like it's easily Dan's done, twice as much as everybody in many ways. So I feel like it makes sense to vote Dan top at every time. I also am happy to honor Dan's opinion too. Josh was doing great work too. I voted for Dan, and I think that it makes sense to vote Dan because Dan's deserving of it so much. But I suppose I'm happy either way. If Dan prefers Joshua, then that's cool too.
I wanted to just open it up there so that it's not. Didn't want to just always assume that or make it sort of a group think thing. So I put Joshua out there. I wanted to try Jorge's recommendation, not voting for yourself. So I said, if I wasn't going to vote for myself, who would I pick? But I don't necessarily want my opinion to be binding. This should be what is in the best interest of the community and what is the biggest contribution. Or as Jason said, which contribution would the community not be able to, would the community suffer the most for not having had made? So that's the way to do it. So I'd like to go ahead, since it was tied, let's go ahead and try it again. Level 8, take 2. Right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, it looks like we've got 4 and 1 person didn't contribute.
I got swayed.
You got swayed. All right.
Josh, it's your fault.
I mean, if both of us disappeared in John Galt style or something, who's going to feel the pain the most? That Dan, your contribution is it's incomparable. I don't even think people fully realize yet.
I don't, because I'm new. And that's why, I had chosen you, because I didn't hear as much from Dan this time. And I don't have the background of knowing all that he's contributed as you do, all of you. So from a newbie standpoint, I would say, let us know more. But if you're in a room with all old, like old hat, everybody knows it, you don't have to share as much. But
yeah, I'm funding a team of 10 people to build the software to promote this. I am compensating Joshua to some extent, and so yeah, there's a whole bunch of people here that are able to contribute full time because of my contributions.
And also Dan continuing to sell himself short. He also wrote a lot of the white paper and came up with a lot of the ideas and work animals and stuff like that. So there's also a lot more that Dan's also done in addition to funding the team as well. In addition to just
15 years
constant
of real experimentation to get us to this point.
It's just been a controversial issue in the community recently about ƒractally's compensation. So I just wanted to make sure that we didn't fall into groupthink and that we knew why we were doing that. It just wasn't a habit. All right, level 7. All right. If everyone's ready, raise your hand. 3, 2, 1, go. So it looks like between Joshua and Maxim, I agree Maxim has contributed a lot this week. I haven't seen his video, but just hearing what he said and what people have said about it and the impact that they've said. I'm going to stand by Joshua for the next one, just to be consistent with my willingness to put him as a level 8.
I really appreciate it. I honestly feel like just the way you guys are talking about it, what's being done that is really helping us all. I feel so confident myself voting for Joshua. I'm really glad to do that myself. But
all right, Max and Joshua, you voted for each other. It's a good sign. Maybe the two of you can reach out an agreement, or which one do you think's willing to cave first?
Well, one of the most difficult contributions is to get people interested in the Genesis fractal and in coming to these meetings. And like I think I counted before this meeting, we had many new signatures. I think close to 10. I think I counted 9 exactly a couple hours before this to the contributor agreement. There's been people flying in through Telegram. Lots of people joining the Go Fractally site, and most of them are from this video that Maxim put out. So it was very obvious since it published on Thursday to see the flow. And I've been talking to some of the people that are coming in and stuff, trying to help them. It's the biggest surge of people that we've had relatively in a while. So it's just very noticeable, and I think it deserves a lot of respect this particular week.
I have a question. We already have 4 votes for Joshua. Why they aren't considered as consensus already?
Well, the vote's not binding because voting is not the process. The point is we realize that there's a discussion between the two, and now we're trying to see if we can persuade anyone to switch sides. So the purpose of this is not to vote and be done. The purpose is to figure out where is there potential disagreement, and can we have a discussion to reach a more unanimous consensus. If we can't and no one wants to change their mind, then the consensus carries the day. But I do think it's worthwhile respecting the fact that there's some disagreement, and maybe we can persuade people, because I agree Maxim is going to be my next choice after Joshua. So
I don't know if it matters, but I did get my first achievement of level 8 last week also. So I am getting respect for what I'm doing. But I would really like to encourage more people to do more of what Maxim's doing. I want Maxim to feel encouraged also.
All right, I'm willing to change to Maxim at your request, Joshua. So that's 3 for Maxim. Now, Maxim, I guess, are you willing to support yourself?
I'll switch. Thank all of you. I really appreciate that.
All right. So
Thank you, Maxim.
You get level 7. So now we're at level 6. And when you guys are ready, 3, 2, 1, go. Unanimous. All right. Level 5. Now this.
We are doing share ranking, right? We are allowing everybody to vote for himself.
Yeah, that's part of the rules, Jorge.
It's not really voting; it's discussing. We're trying to figure out where your contributions are relative to other people. All right, if you're ready, 3, 2, 1, go. We've got 3 for Singjoy, 2 for Jorge. Split down the middle. This one is challenging.
So this particular week, one of the things I really respect from Jorge's contribution is he's one of the two main people that are really trying to make sure we get a better interim consensus process. And because of this feedback, the current proposal keeps getting delayed a little bit, and it's probably going to get adjusted. And we need that process. It's a pretty valuable piece to the puzzle. So that's one thing that stood out to me, Jorge, that you've been contributing to recently in the last week or two.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else voted for Jorge? Yes.
Corey.
Corey.
Fortunately. Yes.
All right.
Thank you
What's
so much.
your perspective on that?
Can I defer to someone else?
You chose Jorge over Dan Singjoy.
I
so-
did. It's honestly because I thought that all the things that Dan you were showing were things that you had done, and I misunderstood that some of them were things that other people had done, and therefore I had voted for the other people that had done them, even though I see, because like I'm in this learning stage, and I know you did things on your own as well. So if you want to speak to more of the things that you did that were on your own, I'm still trying to learn what a valuable contribution to the community is. Does that make sense? Since I'm so new.
Yes.
So that's where
That makes complete sense. And thank you for sharing your perspective, Corey. Much appreciated. And it's very helpful for us to consider this as we work together to inspire and can give a great experience to people who are new, such as yourself. So yeah, I'll also respond to Josh's bit too. So I did make the original proposal for implementing this into the Eden Fractal for the interim consensus process. And I've been also helping to take part in these discussions and inspire a lot of discussions. A lot of these discussions have come from Eden Fractal members thinking about how to contribute this in the Eden Fractal and then bring it to the Genesis Fractal as well, like to Das and Giorn. And I also got a bunch of notes too that I've been working on this quite a lot. One of the reasons why I share people who have done work, as I mentioned, helping to promote it, but it's also because it's published, and like Jorge published an article. I've written many, many notes about the interim consensus process, and I've done a lot of work behind the scenes, but generally speaking, like I'll aim to show the things that are more like complete and ready to show, and I'll try to keep just the sloppy notes to a minimum. So I am working quite a lot in the interim consensus process, and I am working well over full time for ƒractally and Genesis Fractal. I think I'm probably committing a lot more time than Jorge is to this, and also in general, a lot of things that I'm doing that I'm just speaking up briefly in the meetings or in the presentation. I'm putting a lot of work behind the scenes to make it happen every week as well.
One of the things I'd like to say is regarding the translation, well, not the translation, but the MP3 versions, the audio files of the white paper, is that, well, that's a contribution from one of the Spanish-speaking Fractal members, which is not creating inflation for this community. So he's not coming here, he doesn't speak English. So it's pretty much a free contribution for this community that doesn't dilute the respect everybody has. So what's better than free and good?
The same thing can also be said by the Eden Fractal, by the way, in many cases. But in general, it's also better when people come to the Genesis Fractal meeting as well and then contribute if they're able to.
Yeah. All right. So we've got 5 minutes and we've got 3 people to go through. So we're going to have to resolve this. Let's go ahead and just do level 5 again and see if that ongoing discussion actually changed anybody's opinion. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Three Georges and 2 Singjoys. 1 person didn't vote. You're gonna be the tiebreaker, Corey.
I think you're muted, by the way, Corey.
All right.
Hey,
I was worried
wonderful.
about voting more than unmuting myself because I just want to move the thing along. And Dan, yeah, that's honestly why I'm not changing.
All
But
right.
I
That's
do
good.
value your, like, I get it now.
Cool.
And
I feel the most fortunate person that you, Corey, was the one who break the tie.
Well, it sounds good. Thank you,
When it
Corey.
comes to voting, all votes are equally responsible for breaking the tie, but yes, we'll go there. All right, level 4. All right, 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Level 3 is Corey.
Yay.
Joshua.
Oh.
Congrats. Thank you. Joshua, can you go ahead and organize that into what we need to post on Hive?
Is there
Yeah,
anything
almost got
left?
it here.
No? Okay, cool. I gotta get some more things. Thank you.
We can still hear you, Corey.
I apologize. Sorry about that. My friend just walked into the room, but
this
we
this
can all
round
agree
two
that
gets
I'm the last.
round 2 gets pretty difficult.
It does.
Also pretty fun too.
I'm
I
super
like it
grateful
because I
for-
get to learn what you guys are doing, and it helps me know more about the community to hear what you guys are up to.
It's
Let's
everyone's
check.
making
I just
great.
put it in the chat. Let's check that everyone's username is correct. The order is correct. Looks like the comments and spacing are correct.
One thing I'd like to highlight that I really appreciate about Dan Sinjoy is that he's always unremittingly looking at the bright side of things, always, no matter what. I've never seen him saying anything negative, even on the pretty high pressure. So I really appreciate that from Mr. Sinjoy.
Thank you, Jorge.
I will say that
I very much appreciate it.
I was a total toss-up between you guys. And it was honestly, I let your votes sway me because you know more about what is going on. And so I waited a half a second because I had put Dan in and then I had put Jorge in, and I'm like, that's hard. So I just wanted to let you know that, Dan.
Cool.
And
Thanks, Corey.
the
and
idea
thanks,
is
Joshua. All right,
the
thanks,
idea is that
Jorge.
it is hard, but it will balance out over time. Like Dan has a lot of respect for his contributions, and he'll continue to earn a lot of respect every week.
Yep, that's true, and I appreciate all the respect and the kind words from Jorge very much, and also from Corey. And yeah, I also greatly appreciate what Jorge's doing. Jorge, I mean, he's doing amazing work in general with Genesis Fractal, Spanish Fractal, Eden Fractal, and then also Jorge's usually smiling, joking around, and bringing a lot of great vibes. So I appreciate that. And then yeah, in general, like, most important thing is that we're all contributing and we're all respecting each other and feeling good about it. And I think that we had a great meeting today. So yeah, thank you, everybody.
Our culture of gratitude and appreciation is probably the most healthiest thing to do, of abundance, of not getting caught in the weeds of scarcity. I think that culture will drive more people to contribute. They'll appreciate what we have more rather than looking at what we don't get. So that's the purpose of these meetings, is to give appreciation, recognition, and viewing it from that perspective instead of we're almost out of time, but yeah, that's really, really good. So I appreciate the positive attitude everyone brings to this.
Completely agree. And likewise, thank you very much.
See you
So
guys
this is
back
the
in the main
third
session.
meeting in a row we faced Dan Larimer, Dan Sinjoy, and myself. What a
Wow. Wow.
The trilogy continues.
Interesting.
Well, I think I'm gonna, because I want to respect my friend here, but so when the breakout ends, I'll be headed off. So thank you guys. It was really an honor to be in the room with all of you. And I look forward to seeing you next week, if not before.
It was a
around the
real
Thanks,
pleasure
Corey.
to be in
Thank
a
you.
room with you, all guys, especially Corey.
Yep.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank
Sounds
you
great.
guys.
Thanks so much, Corey. It's nice meeting you too.
You too. You too. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Ay, papá, te gané.
Jorge.
Welcome back, everyone. Hope you guys had a good time. Gonna post a link to the blog post if you don't have that for some reason or lost it. Make sure you put your comment there so we can make sure you're getting the respect allocated. If you don't comment and you don't comment correctly, there's a chance you won't get any respect. I mean, if you don't comment at all, you definitely won't. But
All right.
okay.
I'd like to put a request out there for anyone who is into statistics or can study Zoom or whatnot. I just like to double check the randomness of what's going on here. It just seems like we had a lot of newbies in the same group again. And there's been 3 weeks in a row where I've been in the same group with different people. So if the randomness is not as reliable as we would hope, I'd like to investigate how we can improve upon that. James, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I really appreciated the breakout group I was in this week. People were really focused on like telling each other how much they value what each other was doing, and it was, I don't know, it was very uplifting and it was fun, and it's amazing to me how different it can be week to week, where I've had some weeks where I leave the meeting feeling kind of bad and I felt like everyone in our group had a good time this week, and I just wanted to say that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Same thing in my group. Matt, you had your hand up earlier.
I was just going to say, I'm glad you're interested in that. I am too. I've made an initial measurement of the Zoom randomization, and I will commit here to you and to the group, people listening, that I will publish my results. They're very interesting. So it's not quite as, well, I'll publish my results and then we can discuss online or in a separate meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you, Matt. Shakuz.
Yes, I'd like to use the time and ask you a question then. Why will people buy respect tokens?
Yeah, very, very good question. All right. I'm going to stand up a little bit.
And also answer that both for this respect, but then also the harder question, I think, is the respect of other fractals running on the same chain.
Yeah, yeah. I try to answer that in the white paper, but let's deal with primarily, we're going to have our own blockchain. That blockchain is going to have resources, CPU, net, storage, things like that. And if you want, and so therefore, we're going to have a platform where people can come and do things and engage, and they'll need the thing. So there is some, I hate the word intrinsic, but intrinsic value in the sense there's a monopoly over something that people might want to use that they'll have to buy the tokens for. The second reason why people buy tokens is they might really, really value what we're doing, but they can't contribute directly. So, I'll give an analogy to another kind of open source for-profit thing that's going on there is there's a TV series called The Chosen, and they literally sell credits. And that's how they're funding this crowd-funded TV series. And why would somebody do that? Well, they believe in the mission of whatever it is that's going on with that TV series, and they'd like to see it more, but they can't, they're not an actor, they're not a producer, they're whatever. So they contribute financially, and then they get recognized for it. So there's all kinds of people that are going out there doing things, spreading fractal democracy. You donate to the cause, and that enables people, right? Because when you buy the tokens, what you're doing is you're paying other people for the work they did for the group. And now you've got the credit because you got the tokens. And then, so I guess there's some element of vanity or pride associated with holding the tokens. But the way I view it, it's just a receipt of donation. And because, you know, at some point in the future, you might need something from the community. And at that point in time, the community can give back. You can sell your tokens to someone else and you can give back. So there's a way of tracking the give and take of people to the community. It's sort of like, why do people buy insurance? You buy insurance because you pool your resources, you spread the risk. This is sort of like an insurance policy. When you buy the tokens, you're hoping other people in the future will take care of you because you're taking care of people today. And if the community grows and it's growing in value, and more people value the community's opinion, they value the community's representation, there is an opportunity that they might go up in value as well. But they could also go down. I'm not promising anyone any returns, just for the and it's not, when you buy the tokens, you're not buying property. You're buying endorsement. Somebody in the community who earned the respect of the community is endorsing you because you did something for them. You gave them money, which benefited them as a community member. And that's why you got the tokens. The community respects you because you did something of service. You gave money, but you could just as easily donate clothing to another community member in exchange for tokens. And those are the types of ways, and that can be applied to all the other communities, right? Anytime you have a group of people with a common cause, nonprofit, charitable cause, mutual aid society kind of thing, some people have money, some people need community, and they exchange. That's where it comes in.
Thank you. So buying a token, it's like contributing to the treasury of the community.
Yes, except without creating the treasury as an intermediary step. So in a traditional, I'm going to use the church as an example. In a traditional church, everyone puts their offerings in the plate. Now the pastor's got all the money, and then he figures out how they're going to spend the money. Here, the congregation everyone directly gives to the poor and helps each other. And then they just keep track of what everyone did directly for each other, reaching consensus without ever empowering the pastor or creating a centralized pot of money. That centralized pot of money is the security. We're bypassing the security by going directly from the people who are contributing to the people who are receiving the benefit, always keeping them in perfect alignment and never having that central authority in place. So that's one of the biggest steps of why the UNA, as it's being structured, states that our organization, our association, can have no treasury. There's no communal pot of money. There's no property that we are managing on behalf of other people. All we are doing is coordinating the shared opinion as we serve each other.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we're getting close to the end here. Any final comments? This is your chance. And Dan, if you want to say anything in closing, I'll get the.
Yeah, my main thing I want to say in closing is that a community is more than the sum of its parts, but each part is important and each part needs to grow individually. We need to support each other growing emotionally, spiritually, physically, because it adds to the whole. And so you want to support the independence of your community member. So people ask, what about the values? And I think the values that we need to have are truth, integrity, voluntarism, doing things with voluntary association. Why do we have fractal governance? Why is fractal governance important? Because as far as I can tell, it's the only form of governance that is not based upon coercion. All other forms of government, majoritism is coercion of the majority, or the minority by the majority, which, because of the way other influence are, ends up the minority controlling the majority. It's coercion-based power. And I believe that we're trying to figure out how we can cooperate for our mutual benefit, because we all benefit by cooperating, while maintaining and respecting the sovereignty of each individual here. And that means that we're supporting individual sovereignty, your sovereignty. We want each individual person here to be made as independent as possible, all right? So that we're all more independent. And that independence is why we want fractal governance. Fractal governance is great for all kinds of organizations, alien worlds, and every blockchain could benefit from it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the reason we want to see fractal governance spread throughout society is because it maximizes the independence and sovereignty of each individual, and it's based on the principles of voluntary consent. You're not trying to manipulate other people. You're not trying to coerce other people. That is the values. Those are the principles here. And the other principle I was mentioned here and seems to be flowing around is gratitude. When we give people respect and we're ranking people, we're giving thanks. So you say, who should we give the most thanks to? Before it was respect, we were considering calling the tokens kudos. But we're giving out gifts. And so approaching this from an attitude of thanksgiving, thanks for being thankful for what you receive from the community, from an attitude of abundance instead of an attitude of scarcity and entitlement. So I think it's really good that we encourage each other to always approach this from gratitude and abundance, not scarcity and entitlement. That's, I guess, my closing statement. Alex, you have your hand up.
Sorry, I didn't realize you said me. Yeah, no, I was just like, because I was just about to say, like, I love the fact that you guys called it respect token. Like, I don't know, if we had this back in the day, like, it would have brought us all together, and we would have actually had something to grip onto. I reckon. Like, I don't know, I think it's just genius. Like, it's like sifting out the whole collective and just getting all the good ideas and putting them all together and building something great. I don't know. I think you guys have like really thought this out well, and like, yeah, love it.
Thanks. I'm glad you could be here.
All right. Well, next week we'll be back same time, same day as normal. One thing I would say in closing is and that I've been thinking a lot about, and I'm going to try to do a better job at it. It's just too difficult to share contributions in our meetings. So I think we need to do a good job summarizing them and giving people a chance to look at them before we go into our meetings on Saturday. If you really want to raise awareness of the latest contributions, yours or other people's. So just something to think about over the next coming weeks. And also, however we're doing things, we're demonstrating and teaching the newcomers how to do things as well. So let's be mindful of that too. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.
All right.
Adios.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks. Later, guys.
Adios. Good session. See you guys.
Yeah, baby.
Go ƒractally.
Ciao.